Good morning. Hey, it's Jay from Nicola J Creations. I'm an art student at UCM and I'm going to give you a guided tour through my current art books. And yeah, I know I haven't done a video for ages for those people who do watch me, but this is what we're working right now. I'm really excited because I'm going into my Make It week. Woohoo! So, as you can see, it's growing. As you can see, I have a style with my art books. So my subject that I've chosen for my FMP is something quite triggering. So if you find domestic violence, sexual assault, mental buabuse, emotional abuse, whatever, triggering, maybe this video isn't quite for you. So I wanted to give you a tour. We shall begin. So, here's my first page. We talk through what I'm going to do, like research side. I really like this page. And since this has happened, I have now got a full head of growth of hair. Some of it is coming out, but you know what? Hair doesn't make you who you are. You make yourself who you are. So, I wanted to really go into depth talking about like the self-evaluation at the start. I find that being really reflective within my work really helpful. So my aim to work ethically through my final major project. There are many things within this project that I feel would be important to me. I feel it is important at these times to document this. I was aiming to do voice recordings of this along my project, however the voice recordings do not appear to be working on my phone. Therefore, unfortunately, this Word document exists. Something to work on for the future projects. Having better equipment. Honestly, that's, yeah. I felt it was extremely important and valid to write a section to remind myself through this project that I am an ethical worker. And that means I want my work to represent that. Thinking of my audience and how they feel along this rather challenging voyage that I have chosen to explore and heal through. Looking at what's immoral within codes of practice, my own morals, maintaining my moral standing and virtues within this project. I feel with the sensitive nature of which I am dealing with, that having a high standard of ethical practice will be needed to aid myself in producing an end piece that will be consciously well thought out, with dedicated trigger warnings to aid my reader through my programme being my book, and on my door for my exhibition. I've started thinking about that already. But with showing light, beauty, that there is strength through diversity of my own battles, which could end as something that shows this release, this transition that I feel will forever be intensely growing. With this beauty came an even stronger realisation of sustainability and the fact that I am determined to turn such negativity, such as lockdown #free, and the advantage into something positive, like I want to regarding my journey with domestic violence. This means the start of thinking about natural resources, my passion and commitment to using sustainable products to create something that could show the good, the bad and the ugly. I couldn't help but really think about the world we are in, the struggles this earth is in the middle of which some of us are fighting for, the global warming being just one of the areas that I'm talking about. I also want to show that a design, a craft, final product does not have to be compromised by sustainability, and that in reflection, sustainable materials become the stars of the show. We are moving more and more into the time where we are exploring things that already exist, things that are already made, and how we can improve, how we can use sustainability to grow a more successful, fruitful future. I'm hoping that this use of sustainability to my audience will have a positive effect and perhaps make others think, ultimately, to view objects differently. There we have our ink sketch. And me thinking and getting quite emotional at the start, because I knew that the first 5 weeks would be me talking about things that are heavy. I've also put reflections in pretty much on every single page. I have a passion for an artist called Val Brighton, and she really inspired my mind mapping. I've already got that in a previous video, so I won't keep going on about the same things. Word association on the word release began here. So we came with words like confinement, result, escape, free, action, move, restraints, liberate, emancipate, toxins, condition, prison, dizziness, loose, catch, freedom, captured, anxious, scared, taking a breath, seize and blood, and then looking at colour theory. Then we've looked at the cultural side of research and the contributing factors. Violent relationship things like it all starts somewhere, and we don't actually need to have like, it's got a face basically, you know. It doesn't matter what people look like, doesn't matter their race, doesn't matter their size, doesn't matter anything. It can happen to anyone. And then looked at the cultural myths. Like the cultural myths being domestic violence only happens to women, it doesn't happen to anyone. Abuse is simply just out of control. Abusers just need help. So, you know, yeah, I felt that for a long period of time. Facts of cultural domestic violence, and then I've looked at countries where it's still going on and people aren't getting pressed charges, and it's just really scary. I did a questionnaire on the release of mental health after domestic violent relationship. I wanted to try and get a bit more information from other people that may have been in the situation or may know people that have. This is a really hard questionnaire, and I only managed to get like 5 results, 5 people to fill it out. But I got some, you know, interesting conversations going from that. Went on to look at Vietnamese actionism, and I actually had my friend at the time use masking tape around my head. Sorry, it's really hot in the college today. Give me a second. I had my friend put masking tape around my head, and I can actually feel like I was being trapped again under those kind of feelings of confinement and not being able to be released came back to me, and it was really quite hard, and I did put it into my reflective section. Looked at expressionism for like the colours, and just I've got a couple of art heroes, I would say, like Ford Smith with the just powerful colour and the storminess, and just like the beauty in the storm. Like you'll see lots of tree pictures from this particular artist. Henny Newman, beauty and culture with skin beauty, and really zoned in on like femininity. I really quite like that style. Gerhard Richter, colourful map making and chunks and looking at blocks, and kind of took it forward with what I'm kind of doing, but in my own little way. Julia Tokar, emotive and thought-provoking and abstract, beautiful works of female working, and honestly guys, just check it out. Favorism, so I had to look at that. I found both of these movements quite helpful, so I did a little writing section on this. Don't think you need to see that. Peer feedback, has somebody that made me want to really look at New Zealand, because that was my other idea that I did put forward. There's still a possibility that I might use an aspect of that, maybe just the uplifting music when people leave the actual exhibition. Possibly, if I've got time. And then looking at the word release again, I did a self-interview for myself, like a check-in, I suppose, and started to put my Harvard references in and my bibliographies. I did journal pages, like my emotions, problems that I've maybe overcome, equipment, things that I might look at, and proud moments as well, and looked at Vito and Akashi. I'm so sorry if I can't pronounce this properly, but his work is just, you know, modernism's rejection of human body, and hands being a major part of his work. So I looked at hands, I looked at photography, photography started here, digital over film for me personally. I looked at the semiotics, like the gestures. I'm just going to turn the camera this way. So I looked at non-verbal communication, form and postures and body movement, facial expressions, and managed to do this like using a jolly plate. I found it quite powerful. Just bits of my artwork. I'm trying to take you through this as quickly as I can, because I don't want to take up much of your day, but I really do appreciate you logging on and checking this out. If you look at the work online of Vito Acconci, which is ACCONCI, you'll find images of him, like his chest and from his nose down, like his torso area, sewn down at a woman, and the woman's looking to me, I take it as she's looking quite vulnerable in the image, and I'm holding her against a wall, brought back quite thought-provoking, emotive side of what happened to me in the sexual abuse. I did questions and answers to my class. I think, being open to talking to your classmates, being open to talking to your fellow peers, and talking to your professors, teachers, whatever is easier for you, is really something you have to go through. You have to be able to talk to other people, communicate with other people, and that will take your work higher. For me, it takes my work higher anyway. Looked at Bruce Newman. Like, he does like neon installation arts and performance art and sculpture and video, and I think that was when my thoughts of, do I want to put something of my voice out there? Now that I've got one, it took me a long time to find my voice. I did some wordplay research on like words like lost, fire, scream, monster, attempt, freedom, love, flourish, light, escape, release, happiness, change and hope. And you can see that the works gravitated towards this like flowery, floral, blooming, light, love ending. I don't want to give too much away, I'm really excited. Inspired research from wordplay, kick-started of the poetry coming through for the fine art. Salvador Dali, of course, Second Stairs, where I was attacked most, and looking at how do victims speak out, what can they do, and a couple of things like obviously reach out. There's like a black dot campaign which people put on the hand, like secret hand things, like if you were in lockdown with somebody that you didn't feel safe with, you could actually do like have like FaceTime and things like that. There's like a pizza video on YouTube where somebody orders pizza but they're actually talking to the police. I think that's an extremely clever way of doing it. I won't show you these pictures because I don't want to trigger anyone, and there might be children watching and I really don't want to do that. So I looked at putting my photographs in. I looked at an artist called Sita Tortocato, and her work is just lush. She makes scars into something absolutely beautiful, like tiger stripes for stretch marks. The idea of like turning a scar into like a butterfly or a bow kind of thing, looking at things differently. Again, Harvard referencing, this is coming into week 2. This is week 3 now. More mind maps. I can't, like, seriously, the amount of mind maps that I have done, I feel like I've really gotten quite in depth with myself through doing this. Marcelo Teuder, which inspired me to do some pastel drawing sketches onto brown paper, because brown paper came from Amazon, or I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but from a business. Packaging in lockdown, and it was all scrunched up, and I opened the brown paper up and I laid it straight, and already my eyes were drawn to these lines and the depth of the lines and the different tones that you can get within the brown paper when it is actually folded and scrunched. And I started to see like a monster, I started to see flesh, like a monster hand, so that's quite interesting. That inspired another piece of poetry. Looking at sculptures that honouring Ladai and victims of sexual violence, which is installed in London. Beautiful bronze sculpture. There's a child next to the woman as well, and that really made me think about my children and stuff that they've been through and what I've put them through, unfortunately. For this culture, I've learned to take responsibility, Looking at Kiki Smith, her beautiful work of like Hanging Woman. I didn't have a printer, so this really pushed me. I started the course not allowed to draw a stick man, and I'm really pushing the drawing elements. And so there's a trigger warning here because it's going into sexual assault stuff, which I've covered in my book. I will be putting these onto my blog. I think I've already put them on blog. I need to check my list anyway. Making lists, oh my god, lifesavers. started to look at like some thumbnail sketches, but decided that I wasn't going to go in this direction because I was going to originally like use driftwood, make torso and corset. But I've kind of already covered that unit, that idea in units ago, so didn't really want to revisit that. I wanted to do something fresh. Yeah. Looked at the opposite of release, which was like went to Peel Castle, which is funny enough where we had our first trip, school trip, college trip, whatever. Like the chap feeling behind bars, stuck, height small, places locked away, places of punishment, stuck in toxicity, because for a long time I was stuck. I was lost, stuck, unable to be released, and a lot of that was like mental torture. More colour palettes and more like drawings, so driftwood, and I looked at I did some online life drawing classes because we couldn't be in college, so one of my friends, Maria, was doing these amazing life drawing classes, and yeah, I really liked this one here, and I gave her no face purposely because it can happen to anyone, again a male figure. This one isn't as good as this one. This one is where I'm really proud, really proud. I think maybe the female form for me just stands out more. It's more powerful for me. Obviously, because I was looking at hardcore stuff for a little while, I decided to just switch it around and look at something a little bit positive and did a little bit of positive poetry, and more flowers started to seep through this way. Another life drawing class online. I did some experimental map making. More life drawing. This one I'm particularly pleased of. This is getting better. I've never had a strong point for drawing, but you've got to push yourself, and I'm finding drawing every single day really beneficial. More poetry coming through the masses. Another journal page. This is where I started looking at photography and took the person that I was staying with for lockdown, looking at using his body as a canvas, which reminds me of like Christopher, one of the my favourite photographers, digital photographer. He is just immense. He's actually a student. He actually discovered when he was a student how good he was at photography, digital photography, and then looking online and learning myself how to play with the images. I won't show them on here just in case they're too triggering, but they are in my art book. Looking at photography in a different way, I took a toilet roll and took it to the beach and was using it almost like, I don't know, like a binocular, or looking to look through the light at the end of the tunnel, coming through here. Did some Vaseline art. That sounds a bit weird. Vaseline on the lens, and then just some light photography. I haven't had my morning glass of water yet. And then started looking at like typography and text and how to take it into different things. So I found that I really enjoyed looking at like the swerve, curls, this kind of writing, really inviting for my eye. And looking at Nicola J just as a base to work from. Pinterest has been amazing, and I absolutely love Pinterest for looking at research. I didn't really have access to a lot of books. I have done book research. I have put it in as well and done bibs and Harvard referencing on that as well. But I really like this hand. Again, going back to the hand, and the colours in this one were just so beautiful and really nice to look at. I like the idea of the shapes and overlapping and the highlighting of words, and I quite like this abstract type but tangible putting in sharp shapes. Sharp shapes. Hard work for Monday morning. Collected some bits from the beach, did some printmaking, and I put plastic sheet over it. And for me, when I close my eyes, it reminds me of like the sea. Which is where I've done quite a bit of healing. So I want to really look at experimental stuff. I love this one. This is just, oh, I could sit and feel this all day. I love textures. And then tissue paper. This is quite interesting. Now this is where it suddenly becomes very apparent to me that what I want to do is celebrate who I am now, not the past. I want to celebrate my life and how I've turned it around and how I'm still turning it around, and I'll always be turning it around, and the reason why is for my girls. This is coming into midlife crisis, midpoint evaluation. I wrote down what I set out to do, or the ideas that I may take forward. Looking at colour palettes again, really revisiting colour palettes over and over again until I get the right tonal values. And more experimentation, abstracting and tangible materials to work with. Trying printing it onto bin bags, which wasn't really effective, and I thought it was quite Halloweeny and just not what I'm looking for. Then went on to working on plastic sheet that was clear. However, because of the ethical reasons, I decided to stay away from this. Now I like this idea, the idea of lights, and I'm very aware that I'll need to do pat tests if they were plugged in. So I started looking at battery operated lights, thinking that would be the easiest option. And then I put in my harassment messages that were sent to me. Again, trigger pages without cut papers. Put in names protected. Looking at Francis Bacon, because I look at my abuser and relate him to a monster, and Francis Bacon's monster paintings, drawings are just phenomenal. And I had a go myself. Okay, with this. I quite like this, and then I started to see the red coming up for the devil, Satan. Exit strategy: how to leave a domestic violent relationship, abusive relationship in a safe way. And I decided to put a glittery path through this, because when I escaped, I became glittery, bubbly, happy, and released. Again, going back to Pinterest and looking at further ideas of things that had inspired me. A lot of colour is really inspiring me. More thumbnails. So many thumbnails, it's ridiculous. I found a really positive page in one of my magazines that I'm addicted to, and decided to spruce it up just a little bit. I did some wordplay here, magazine cuttings, looking at colour theory, realising that I am colour dependent for my personal mood and wants in these instances. I need water. Some interesting quotes, some colour as well. I love quotes. Went to a bar, because bars were back open again, and found a really colourful coaster mat thing. And yeah, I didn't realise how much I need colour in my life. I really didn't realise. Again, went and did another questionnaire. This time, it says this basically. I wanted to basically work out if I should have wanted to find out if I should have my fine art poetry hanging so people could read it, or would my voice be more powerful? And from the answers that I got from the questionnaire, it's more apparent that my voice would definitely be the better way to go. So I started looking at audio and got some amazing feedback this week. These are my feedback things. So I had the teachers do them in the reds. I did student ones in black, friends in black as well. And then we're moving into the next one. Here. Again, this light starts to come through. I'm really thinking about light. and using black, an element of black, which I'm starting to see is like a not a marquee, a gazebo, a tent. I really want people to like submerge themselves into it, so having something that they can go into was like paramount to me at this point. I start to think about grass. This really doesn't work for grass. It's going to be too much. I'm looking at maybe astroturf. So we're looking at like when getting out is triumph, like the dark and moodiness of when you're in it, and then being kind to this world and starting to bring like the light through. So we've got the picture of the sun coming through the trees. Starting to really look at this J, zooming in and focusing in on the shape and what I want it to do. Like using newspaper to try and draw it out a bit. A little bit of graph paper to try and get some measurement ideas. Using newspaper that had magazine, that had like the flowers on blooming, so I can start imagining the flowers coming through. As you can imagine, getting hold of my flowers is really hard. So charity shops and asking people, and yeah, it's been hard. But I wanted to use something that maybe somebody would throw away. So a lot of the flowers, I'm bringing that through. Again, looking at the sustainability side of it. Things that I've found I want to use. I think Jasmine needs to draw a goat here because, funny enough, Jasmine's named after a goat. My flower research, I just love this. It's got information about what the flowers actually mean, and again, those are my thumbnails. Start of idea of using compost to walk along. I just love the elements of different textures, and I'm quite an earthy person, and being connected to the earth has been a really healing element to me. Some of these pages I'll probably revisit. I'm going to go on a nice nature walk and get some leaves and stuff. Just a quick sketch of a garden. I've got these, which are lovely things. These had seeds in for the different things like borage, chives, chamomile, dill, wild rocket. The idea of like a smell in essence. Talk to Victim Support, had an interview with them. Started sending emails off to Martin at Arts Council Isle of Man, and had a proud moment because I never would have done that before. I never would have been brave enough to really go there and do that. And this is where my information from tomorrow is going to go in, because he's actually coming into college. And we've got more thumbnails. I'm like starting to really think about like this framing. I love this. This is just, to me, framing J and having loads of light and just crystals hanging. Like, I found me, and this kind of symbolises to me like a wedding, like people stand under arches to get married, and the only person like you should really love is yourself. Like, you can't love anyone else until you love yourself. So I've had to fall in love with who I am. I've had to really know who I am, and that's been quite an exciting journey to go on. And yeah, more fun sketches, and today we start making. So I'm probably going to do like another video on the making stages. I'm really excited about this next part of my programme. I organised it so that week 7 and 8 I'm going to be mostly making. And week 9 will be like getting an exhibition ready. I want to make sure that I'm bang on with my targets, and so far I'm doing that. I'm quite proud of my journey. I'll catch you guys some more time. Thank you so much for watching my video. Bye.